living.
See volunteerfire.org.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, it's a big Thursday night edition of Sports Talk for you here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. We're all separated tonight. Home studio here, Bergie Palace there. And Pat Daniel, downtown Columbia, holding it all together. We invite your phone calls at 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. A lot of ground to cover tonight. A lot of good stuff to bring your way, including Will and the Thrill. A visit from Mike Morgan as well. No Ben Portnoy tonight. He wanted to be with us, but he's having travel difficulties getting up to Penn State from Michigan and Penn State. And he's had a day full of travel issues. So we give him a pass tonight. He'll join us again next week. And we got some other stuff we'll drop your way, including an interview with a newly signed Clemson basketball guard, Ace Buckner. Thought he'd be interesting to talk to because he is the son of former Tiger great Greg Buckner. We had another Tiger great on with us last night. If you missed it, Grayson Marshall. We'll get that interview up on our website maybe tonight, but he was fantastic. And, of course, Greg Buckner came after Grayson did, right? Let's see, because it was Cliff and then Rick Barnes.
Yeah, Buckner was in the 90s.
Yeah. Cliff, Rick Barnes came after Cliff, trying to get my eras right there. So anyway, great basketball players, and the son is going to be a terrific player at Clemson. So we got all that for you tonight. Again, the phone number is 888-898-2525. All right, Pat, your your Carolina Panthers are in action tonight up in Chicago with the soon-to-be Arlington Bears, wherever they move to. So what do you think? Are the Panthers going to break through tonight and get it done?
I might defer to Chris here, but the short...
No. I love how Phil said, Pat, your Panthers. He didn't even bother to lump me into that category, so you take it, my friend.
Well, I feel like I said a lot of this last night. I might be repeating myself. The short answer, though, is no. I am not expecting much. If anything, I'm seeing a matchup of two teams just devastated by injuries and that, quite frankly, would probably go 1-2 or 1-3 in the upcoming draft had the Panthers not traded away that pick to the Bears. So now the Bears will be getting two top 3, top 5 picks here. And that begs the question, look, I know no teams will publicly ever say that they're tanking, but if you are in the Bears situation where you have the Panthers pick, which will probably be the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, and you yourself seem to be just treading water barely, and a lot of folks seem to think that the Bears will also reset after this season. Are you incentivized to even try to win this game? Because actually, I guess it doesn't really matter. Never mind. If you have both of the picks, it really doesn't matter who wins between the Bears or the Panthers. But the Panthers right now are just absolutely devastated by injuries all across the board, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, Bryce Young, he is a rookie that is doing the best he can, but he is playing behind an offensive line that is also struggling and decimated by injuries. They don't really have much identity offensively or defensively. The Panthers don't. Frank Reich is supposed to be a quarterback whisperer and this offensive mastermind and just hasn't really put together much offensively for the Panthers. I'm not expecting much. The biggest thing I am expecting, and I said this last night too, is this is a revenge game for DJ Moore, and I highly expect him to come in now in a Bears uniform and remind the Panthers just what they traded away.
Well, I don't know what the over-under is on this one, but based on these two offenses, I think I definitely put my coin
38.
on the under. Yeah. I think I'd roll with the under here. How about you?
Well, and especially if Justin Fields doesn't play, which he's trending in that direction, and they've got some guy who played last week for them, Tyson Bagent. I've never even heard of him. I feel like I follow football pretty closely, but yeah, I've never even heard of him. So if Justin Fields doesn't go and Bryce Young can't stay upright, I don't know how either one of these teams moves the football to the point. But the over-under is right around 38 points, and that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 21-17 type ball game, and I think that would be spot on. I really do. I think that would be right in the money line there, and I'm like Pat. The Panthers give you no confidence that they're going to go out there and win against even a miserable team like Chicago on the road.
We got an ACC game tonight as well. Virginia plays at number 11 Louisville, and Louisville, of course, right now it looks like it's going to be Florida State, Louisville. In the ACC championship game, look, Louisville could stumble. They're 5-1. Florida State 7-0. Georgia Tech is 4-2. North Carolina 3-2, and Duke and NC State and Boston College and Virginia Tech all 3-2. But really, it's Florida State and Louisville. Louisville at home against this Virginia team, which after a terrible start has played a little bit better, but is only 2-7 and 1-4 in the ACC. So Louisville, Florida State. Looks like that will be the ACC championship game as things stand now. And you wonder, Clemson, when they play in it, of course, they end up selling out the stadium. I wonder if Florida State fans, I would think Florida State fans and Louisville fans, but in particular Florida State fans, since they've been removed from the championship level for a while, they would turn out in big numbers, knowing also that if they run the table, win that game, they're going to be in the college football playoff as well. So they can dig deep into their pockets for a change and spend all that money to follow their team to at possibly 3 postseason games. Meantime, Clemson getting ready for Georgia Tech. We'll talk about that as the Tigers look to build on their win against Notre Dame from last weekend. This is a dangerous Georgia Tech team. I know, Chris, you've pointed out how weak they have been against the run. And I would say that if Clemson is smart, they're going to line up and run it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's obviously what they do best right now is line up and run it. If they can run the ball against a defense and a defensive front like Notre Dame, they can certainly do the same thing against a defensive front like Georgia Tech. And number two, I think that alleviates a good bit of pressure on Cade Klubnik and takes the ball game out of his hands. Don't put him in a position where he's got to try to win a game because he ends up making some mistakes that cost you a game. Then again, the running backs don't do a good job of holding on to the football either.
True.
Maybe they've solved that this week through whatever measures. Maybe they've just put glue on their hands, put glue on their gloves, stitch the football to their hands, something to make them hold on to the football.
Yeah, you're right. But I still don't buy the narrative that Dabo was trying to spin about Georgia Tech being a much better football team. Yeah, they beat Virginia. Of course, everybody beats Virginia. And they somehow had North Carolina just choke one away and give them the football game at Bobby Dodd Stadium. But this is the same team that lost to Bowling Green and should have lost to Miami. So, they should be in a situation where they're sitting in a situation where they've lost, 1, 2, 3, 4 of their last 5. So, yeah, I'm not buying that Georgia Tech's all that much better. And Clemson, if they come out and perform and run the football, they should have no problem whatsoever on Saturday. I can't see any way outside of the Tigers, doing like they did against Duke and fumbling and driving in several times and turning it over 3-4 times. That's the only Clemson. This will be truly one of those games where if Georgia Tech were to win, it was because Clemson beat themselves, not that Georgia Tech beat them.
South Carolina and Vanderbilt, just like Clemson. Now, these two home teams, they are 14-point favorites this weekend. So at home, 2 touchdown favorites. Of course, South Carolina was a 2 touchdown plus favorite against Jacksonville State and had to rally to win that game. I think the Gamecocks are going to play much better. I really do. I think that we should look for them to be better running the football. I think just, they haven't. I think maybe they played their best game of the season against Florida, and they lost that game. But they had a lead, and they blew it. They had that game in their hands at home, and they blew it. That was probably their best overall performance, even though, they gave up a bunch of points. I think also some of those points came off the offense, if my memory is correct. and now they've got to seek to put that complete game together and build the momentum going into the last 2 weekends. I mean, this is get right time for the Gamecocks. When you looked at their schedule, if you were a Gamecock fan, you were hoping that you wouldn't have only 2 wins going into November. You were hoping that you'd be around 4 or 5 wins, 6 wins maybe, and then go into November. Maybe that's a bit high, 4 or 5 wins. And you go into November and you pick up a couple of cruise wins over J-State and then Vanderbilt. And then, late on the line against Kentucky and Clemson. It sets up nicely for them because you got the two get-right wins. Then you get Kentucky at home at night coming off – they're coming off playing Alabama. And, teams that play Alabama the next week, I'd like to see what their records are because I got to believe it takes a lot out of you to play Alabama. You're getting them at a good time maybe physically and mentally if you take care of your own business. Then that puts you, of course, if you can win those 3, then you've got your destiny for this season is in your hands. You can beat Clemson and make a postseason game, or you can lose to Clemson and stay home. So that's kind of how I see the Gamecocks lining up here. I think they'll win the next 3. I think they'll be 5 and 6 going to the Clemson game. And as of today, I don't think they would beat Clemson, but we'll see what it looks like in a couple of weeks.
Oh, so when you said they were going to win the next 3, you're including the Jacksonville State game in there.
Yeah. I'm talking about going.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you in November so far. I think they will win. I don't know that we can expect them, though, Phil, to play any better than what we have seen. I mean, Chuck Reedy brought this up last night when we were talking with him. They're 9 games into the year. This is who they are. They can't run the football. They can't stop anybody on defense. They're having a hard time forcing turnovers. And they're basically being, have the benefit of being just more talented than the last couple of teams they played. You can make the arguments. If it's not for Stone Blanton, they don't beat Jacksonville State this past weekend. I mean, if he doesn't spend as much time in the film room as he said he did and read that real wheel route and step in front of it and run it back for a touchdown, Jacksonville State, at worst case scenario, is kicking a field goal there at the end, but probably driving in for a touchdown. I think they'll win. I just don't have any confidence that they're going to be winning in dominating fashion over Vanderbilt and Kentucky and Clemson games. I still think they'll be underdogs and probably deservedly so the next 2 weeks.
Phone number 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk as we look ahead to the weekend. The rest of the football schedule, of course, you've got Coastal Carolina, which is a hot football team right now. Coastal Carolina at home against Texas State, which should be, I think, Chris, you were telling me earlier, this should be a good ball game too. Now,
yes, they do. They lead the Sun Belt in terms of total offense and also scoring offense. I think this might be the best game in the state this weekend is Coastal and Texas State, partly because you've got 2 extremely good offenses, and 2, both teams are still in the mix to try and win their division and play for the Sun Belt title. Right now, Texas State is a game back of Troy in the West, and Coastal right now leads the East if you factor in the situation that James Madison is ineligible. So James Madison right now leads the East, but they can't win it. So I think you're looking at a situation where this ought to be a really, really good game. And like Tim Beck said yesterday during his press conference, if you're around Conway, come to the game because it should be fun. And I would anticipate it's going to be a relatively high-scoring game on Saturday.
All right, let's give you the word on South Carolina injuries. This is from a tweet from Alan Cole, who writes for the Gamecocks Rivals websites. And he's got Trey Jones out, Kaysen Henry out, DeCarrion Joyner out, Antoine Juice Wells out, Trey Knox, Ja'Kai Moore, Vershawn Lee are not 100% but available if they need them. So pretty lengthy injury list for the Gamecocks. And keep in mind, they haven't had Jalen Nichols all season. And that's another quality starting offensive lineman who's not been available all season long as they kind of work things in and out with their offensive line, much like Clemson. Clemson will still have kind of a makeshift offensive line going on Saturday and some issues in their secondary as well. And they'll be facing a quarterback, guys who can throw it, and he's played SEC level football at Texas A&M. Not that he's taken a major, step down to the ACC, but hey, perception is. And he can also run it. So the Clemson defense is going to have to be able to watch the edges. And I don't know if they put a spy on this guy or not. Sometimes you rush too much from the outside, you leave the middle open, and quarterbacks who can run take advantage of that going up the middle. But he's also a good thrower. So is this going to be much of a test for the Clemson defense?
I don't know. I really don't. Like I said earlier, I'm just not buying Georgia Tech. They're going to have to go out and beat somebody of merits for me to buy into them being a really, really good football team. And their win over North Carolina, I guess, would qualify as somewhat of merit, but I think North Carolina lost that one more than Georgia Tech won it. So I'm not on the rambling wreck quite yet. Now, if they go and perform and move it up and down the field against Clemson's defense, I will be impressed. I really will.
They did also beat Miami, and Louisville, they played very, very close. Now, Louisville was not clicking on all cylinders yet. But
let's back up to the Miami game. That was a gift. That was the take a knee game by Miami.
Oh, gosh, you're right. Yep, you're exactly right.
So they can't get credit for that.
They do average over 400 yards per game, 242 through the air, and 159 on the ground. So that's respectable. They're only allowing 21 points per game. That is sixth in the ACC and 35th. Hang on a second. My bad. I'm looking at wrong numbers. Let's back that up again. Georgia Tech is averaging 33 points per game, which is third in the ACC and 28th nationally. They're averaging 465 yards per game, which is second in the ACC and 14th nationally. Now, they are giving up 30 points per game. Their defense has not been all that. They're last in the ACC against the run. They're 11th in the ACC against the pass. And they're last in the ACC in total yards allowed per game. So, this could be an opportunity for Clemson's offense to get right against a perceived weak defense, or at least on paper a weak defense. But then again, Georgia Tech does have a offense I think you've got to respect, unless Clemson's defensive front can just overwhelm their offensive line and put Hayes King on his tush time and time again.
Now, the one thing I will give Georgia Tech credit to, and has had to go through a couple of different coaches to finally get there, at least they have gotten into the 21st century with their offense, and they run more of a spread attack than they ever did. And of course, for years under Paul Johnson, and they were running the triple option, which Clemson just ate alive because their athletes were much better than what Georgia Tech could run out there. So at least from an offensive perspective, Georgia Tech's offense can, I think, move it against Clemson a lot better than they were the last several years of Paul Johnson, and certainly through the transition phase over to where they are with Coach Key now. But again, I look at some of the teams they have played and some of the teams that have just run up massive numbers against them. And again, they lost to Bowling Green. I mean, that you can't tell me that Clemson is not considerably better than Bowling Green.
Yeah. Listen, you're right. That's an inexplicable home loss for them, and that's what keeps the program like Georgia Tech from convincing their fans that, they are taking a big step forward. Yet they lost to Bowling Green, but they played, as Pat pointed out, they played Louisville to a 5-point game. They put up a respectable fight at Ole Miss early in the year. They beat Wake Forest on the road. They went down, a gift or not, they put themselves in position to have a chance to beat Miami, and Miami gave them that opportunity. They still had to go and move the football down the field and score a touchdown to win the game against that Miami defense. And they beat North Carolina. They put 46 points on the board there against North Carolina. They've scored in their last two games. They've scored 46 and 45 points. So let's just see what happens against Clemson. I'm sure Georgia Tech is looking at this as a great opportunity for them. They're a win away from being bowl eligible. After Clemson, they host Syracuse, and then they host Georgia. So they know to get that sixth win, it's probably going to have to come from one of these next two games, because they're probably not beating Georgia at home, and they're probably not beating Clemson tomorrow either. So it might all come down to that home game against Syracuse.
Well, and they've lost 8 in a row to Clemson, and of the last now 9 games going into Saturday, I would say this is probably their best opportunity. I would grant you that. I would concede that this is probably their best chance in nearly a decade to stay on the field and beat Clemson and have that opportunity. And they're going to have to me, they're just going to have some help. Clemson's going to have to turn it over, which we know the Tigers are prone to do, and that will help Georgia Tech. The problem is, from their perspective, can they ever stop Clemson? And if the Tigers run the football like I think they can and protect the football, I just don't know that Georgia Tech is going to get enough opportunities with that offense to move it against Clemson's defense to stay in the game.
All right, give you the other games coming up this weekend. We've talked about the 3 FBS games. You got Furman hosting VMI, seeking to win outright. The SoCon, they've already clinched at least a tie and continue an undefeated run through the Southern Conference this year. Wofford and Citadel, one of them's going to get a W. They are both winless. Hard to believe that's where they are. They're both winless. They're playing each other in Charleston. Somebody, unless they play to a tie, somebody's getting a win there tomorrow. Presbyterian, losers of 3 straight after they beat Dayton, will go to Iowa. Isn't that where Drake is? Yeah. They will go to Iowa to play Drake. South Carolina State getting a big win over Howard last week. It's going to be Buddy Pugh Day on Saturday at State. Last home game for the Bulldogs. They host Morgan State. Charleston Southern. Man, that coach Gardenia's done an excellent job there. Win over Tennessee State last week to close out the home schedule. They'll be at Robert Morris Saturday. Newberry, disappointing year for the Wolves, no question about it. They've lost 3 in a row. They play at Mars Hill. Erskine, trying to avoid a winless season, will be taking on Barton at their home field at Greenwood High. North Greenville has completed their season at 5-5 after winning their last 2, Mississippi College and Shorter. Limestone, winners of 4 in a row, going to play at Emory and Henry. And I've got to check. I mean, they've got to be right there as far as winning the South Atlantic Conference. They do have a loss to Lenoir-Rhyne. That's their only league loss. 3 losses overall. I would imagine, of course, they made the playoffs last year. I would imagine with those 3 losses, they probably need to win their league to get in to the playoffs, I would imagine. Benedict, which is undefeated.
And remember, that's not an automatic bid like it would be in, say, FBS football. The D2 playoffs are really, really weird.
That's true.
Just because you win your league doesn't necessarily guarantee you a chance to get into the postseason.
Benedict, undefeated, 10-0 regular season, will play Albany State for their conference championship in Atlanta on Saturday. And Allen wrapped up their season 7-3, very good season. They continue to build that program. I mean, that program has been built from and now they're Division II. They're going to be building a stadium for themselves down on Two Notch Road, not far from Benedict's Stadium, and they finished 7-3. Coach Keaton doing an excellent job over there with the Yellow Jackets. Okay, 888-898-2525. Let's take a call from, what a surprise. It is Gamecock Larry time here on Sports Talk on a big Thursday. Gamecock Larry, big Thursday, all kind of goes together. Welcome in, Gamecock Larry. How are you?
I'm just fine. Dabo, this is Gamecock Larry from Swansea.
Yeah.
We coming up to you in about 3 weeks. You're gonna be about 7-5. We're gonna be about 5-6, and we're gonna win number 6 against you all. Now I'm gonna have to agree with Mr. Field. I can't. I don't know how to put this, but I gotta say I kind of agree with him a little bit. I've been thinking, I love Coach Staley. She's a great basketball coach. She knows how to lead these young women. But I'm like you. She ain't no. Well, no, I don't know how to say it, but I'm gonna try to say it. But I don't want nobody mad at me because I love all y'all. But she ain't no political activist. She, whatever you call it. She is the basketball coach of the University of South Carolina, and that's it. Now, anything she does out of the, You know what I mean.
I got you.
I love her.
We
I
got we understand, but she uses her position to get her message out, and she has people who love her messages, and she gets it out to them. Thank you, Larry. Got to hit the break. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clouds roll in this evening. We'll have a low dipping down to 57. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. High of about 76 with a 20% chance of some afternoon showers. The weekend, well, not terribly inviting. A 50% chance we're going to get some rain. Saturday's high is 59, while on Sunday, just a high of 53. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. So our customers have spoken, and we are now open at noon on Saturday. And if your favorite team is really good, they're going to be playing primetime at night. So here's a great option. You won't miss out on your fondue when your special occasion falls on game day. So come in for all 4 courses of fondue, or just cheese and chocolate, or just chocolate. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard, Columbia. The Melting Pot, Columbia's favorite special occasion restaurant.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting astronaut Frank Borman has died at the age of 95 at his home in Montana. He's perhaps best known as the commander of Apollo 8 circling the moon in 1968. On Christmas Eve, the astronauts read from the book of Genesis in a live telecast from the orbiter. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was out form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Borman ended the broadcast with, and from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you. Frank Borman dead at the age of 95. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points, the NASDAQ dropping by 128, the S&P 500 losing 35, and oil up 41 cents to 75.74 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Urgent. It's November, the time to knock out that Christmas wish list. No better place to start than at Shooter's Choice on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. Come and experience their new showroom. It's massive, it's awesome. And now, shopping is an easier experience for you. The selection of new firearms and accessories for your wish list, well, it couldn't be any better than it is right now at Shooter's Choice. Hey, you're not sure which hunting or home defense firearm is the best for you this holiday season? Let the experts at Shooter's Choice guide you to your best decision. See, their staff is hands-on with experience. They know guns, they hunt, they shoot. They can answer your questions on personal defense weapons, on rifles, pistols, and even shotguns. Plus, November brings you great promotions. Henry rifles, CVA rifles, Bergara rifles. They'll all be visiting to spice up your seasonal wish list with unbelievable discounts. Check out Shooter's Choice on Facebook for daily deals. And if you're undecided, then gift cards are perfect. They make great stocking stuffers. And listen, there's plenty of ammo in stock right now. And trust me, another ammo shortage is right around the corner. You want to get that taken care of. For your Christmas wish list, make your first choice. Your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Fran Halloran here. Now listen closely to what I'm about to say. I'm a business owner, and many of you listening right now, you're business owners as well. The first rule in owning a business is this: don't waste money. I see business owners waste their marketing dollars all the time. Not me. I figured out a long time ago that spending my marketing dollars at The Point was not only intentional, but extremely profitable as well. If you're a small business owner, you owe it to yourself to sit down with Kevin Cohen and ask him to create a custom marketing plan for your business. He's looking for folks just like you who believe in local to partner with him in 2023 and beyond. Trust me when I tell you, partnering with The Point works. You will see results and your marketing budget will no longer be wasted. Give Kev a call at 803-563-8558 and tell him the Money Coach sent you.
Hey, it's Jay with the Cigar Militia, Columbia's premium cigar store. Have you noticed the change in weather? Some people call it fall. We call it cigar smoking season. Or better yet, it's football weather. Come in and check out our humidor and do what I do and get your go-to stick or try something new. We've got an awesome staff willing to walk you through and help you find your new favorite. And besides, you're going to need some celebration cigars for when your favorite team wins the big game. The Cigar Militia, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network, big Thursday night. So happy you're with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. And our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Lines are open for you. Feel free to join us. Make sure, of course, that you download the free Chief Sports app so you can take us everywhere. Very simple to download. Works on your iPhone, works on your Android phone, and it puts Sports Talk in one place with a simple click. It also gives you access to our archives of our YouTube videos where we archive the show. So if you miss a show, you can go to the Chief Sports app and click on that link and listen to us that way. It's terrific. It's free. All you got to do is download it because there's times you can't get us over one of our great affiliates, and I understand that. So take that app with you, download it, get it on your phone. If you miss parts of the show, you miss a show, you can always go to SoundCloud and find the show elements in recorded form for you there. And also, there are other places that you can get to as well to find the show in podcast form. For example, you Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. We're all there. And of course, we stream the show on X and on Facebook. So all kind of ways to find us. Should you not be able to find us for whatever reason on a given night over the airwaves of some of the stations that you normally reach us on. Coming up, we're going to hear from USC's offensive coordinator, Dowell Loggins, and his thoughts about what the offense is doing. And looking ahead to Vanderbilt, and some comments from the Clemson offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley. So we'll get you some back-to-back offensive coordinator comments coming up regarding the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Meantime, our phone lines are open, 888-898-2525. Yes, sir?
Sorry, is this the last time? I've lost count. Last time that we hear from the Clemson coordinators this year?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think this was
the last time. Yeah,
I think this was the fourth and final opportunity to hear from them. So,
wonder if Dabo would change that for the bowl game, assuming they qualify.
Well, depending on where you go, some bowl games have required media sessions that include the coordinators. Those are usually the bigger games,
right?
And Clemson's not going to be in a bigger game.
Sure.
Where do you think they might end up? I saw one prognostication had them going out to the West Coast. Nobody wants that. I mean, if you're going to go to a low-level bowl, at least keep it in the neighborhood. I mean, listen, I put Clemson in Charlotte. If they get to 6 wins, put them in Charlotte. Put them in what else is nearby that they could get into where they might be needed. Something down in Florida around prior to or just after Christmas, one of those bowls. But I would imagine if, what's Clemson's best record going to be? Right now they are 4-5 with 3 games to go. So they can max
5-4.
I'm sorry, 5-4.
Yeah,
with 3 games to go, so they can max out at 8. And they go 8-4. If they go 8-4, they are Clemson. And that kind of finish, a win over South Carolina and sweeping November, would have their fan base pretty excited. So I think bowl committees would look at that, working with the league, and there'd be some bowl games that would want them, knowing Clemson fans would travel with that kind of a finish. So who knows? It might even open up something a little bit bigger than you might expect, because the bowls are interested in one thing and one thing. Well, 2 things and 2 things only. They're interested in the TV ratings, and they're interested in selling tickets. They don't care who deserves to be there. They'll take a lesser team in terms of their performance that year if they can get them, if that team's going to bring eyeballs and butts to their game.
Tiger Net had a story this week sort of projecting some of the places that Clemson might go, and if they finished 8-4 and 1 out, they actually said the Gator and Pop-Tarts Bowl would be in play for the Tigers as well. Wouldn't that be ironic? Carolina goes to the Gator Bowl last year, and the Tigers follow suit and go this year.
Yeah. Throw another one out there to you, Chris, as well. I saw one projection this week where they had Clemson traveling out to San Diego, California to play in the ACC versus Pac-12 Holiday Bowl. Guess which Pac-12 team they have Clemson up against?
Got to be Oregon State. It's got to be Oregon
right?
State.
And wouldn't that just be fantastic television to see DJ Uiagalelei play against his former team and former backup Cade Klubnik? I thought that I've seen that a couple times throughout the season. But that's one that I would love. Would he opt out of that
game? Would DJ opt out of that game to start getting ready? Use the excuse, I'm getting ready for the draft?
I hope not.
Would he play in that game?
That's a good question.
Who knows? I mean, that's up to him and his family. Why wouldn't you want to play against the team that sent you packing and show them something? And you know who else plays on that team is former Gamecock running back Deshaun Fenwick. The other night, I'm watching them, and Uiagalelei, it was the Colorado game. You had Uiagalelei throwing a pass for a touchdown to Fenwick, so a Tiger to a Gamecock. And Colorado had Levante Bentley, a former Tiger linebacker starter, and Shiloh Sanders, a former Gamecock starter. So, I mean, you had all these familiar names in unfamiliar places, and that's just the way of the world now. With the transfer portal, John, guys they're going to move. They're going to move, and they're going to move a lot. And until, well, I know the NCAA is trying to tighten it up, or maybe has tightened it up by saying you get one free transfer, and then you'll have to sit out a year. But I don't even know if they can enforce that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We'll try and enforce it and see what happens.
But they've always said, the Pac-12 is Palmetto State West. So fairly obvious that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Look who is the new head coach at Heathwood Hall. Pat, is that your old school?
It is, and I love this announcement. Please go ahead. Thrilled for him.
Assistant coach Ty Zimmerman has been promoted. The state reported that, and the school later announced that. He replaces Rick Reitz, who stepped down in September after a 1-5 start. Rip Blackstone, that's a football coach's name there, boy.
Goes
Rip
by B.
Blackstone.
He's been coaching since I was a kid there. He taught me math.
Right?
He taught me math in 7th grade. B, if you're listening, you're a great guy. He's filled in a couple of times as an interim coach. I believe he did a few years ago as well. And he has been a part of the coaching staff at Heathwood for, I'd say 20-plus years at this point. Done a great job.
He took over as the interim coach, and now Ty Meir is going to be he was the acting assistant head coach. And now he is taking over. A team went 2-9, lost in the first round of the playoffs. Ty Meir Zimmerman, what a story for Ty Meir. Came out of Marlboro County, very highly recruited, highly touted athlete, and wanted to go to let me see if I got the story right now. Ended up, he had to go to Fork Union, I believe, for a year. Then went to Clemson, left there, ended up at Newberry, where he played for one Zach Willis, and he was a standout on the field there, and that was a great team that he was a part of, and they won a conference championship. I think it was the first for Newberry, like maybe forever or in a long, long time. He's in the Newberry Hall of Fame, went in back in 2014.
He's a two-time All-American.
And did the unthinkable after that and became an assistant coach at PC.
Hey, man. Brad Scott, Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, they've all worked at both of them. So, hey.
And Ty's wife, Brianna, she is the associate athletic director at Heathwood, as well as the varsity girls basketball coach. They're the defending state champs. And she's one of the all-time leading scorers in our state for high school women's basketball. And she played for the Gamecocks. I believe her final season might have been Dawn Staley's first season. I might have that slightly wrong. But she played for the Gamecocks and was a terrific player and coach in her own right. So nice to see the two of them now both head coaches out at Heathwood.
Was that Brianna Dickerson?
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, remember her. Good player. SEC today announced the permanent opponents for baseball scheduling for the league's teams. So South Carolina's permanent opponents as they move forward into the spring of 25 with the league, the Gamecocks will have as their permanent opponents Kentucky and Florida. So You know, it really doesn't matter for the most part because no matter who you paired them with, it's going to be a powerhouse team.
Sure.
So it could have been Tennessee and
But why not
Kentucky or
Georgia?
Tennessee or Florida. Yeah, why not Georgia? Georgia's two permanent opponents are Florida and Auburn. That's why. You got Florida and Auburn. They gave the
That
game,
makes
of
sense
course,
from their perspective.
I want now see now when it comes to baseball, will they still have will they still do divisions or will they do away with divisions? That's what I'm trying to think here because the Gamecocks have two teams from the East right now as their permanent opponents. Georgia has a crossover in terms of the divisions in Auburn and in Florida. But those are two of Georgia's big rivals, Auburn and Florida.
Yeah, no, okay, I get that. Yeah.
They will eliminate it here, saying beginning in 2025, SEC baseball will play 3-game series against 2 permanent opponents, 8 rotating opponents for a total of 30 conference games. Standings will be kept in a single division format, eliminating divisional standings. So that starts in 2025.
All right, very good. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. Let's go to Dowell Loggins, USC's offensive coordinator, who met with the media yesterday. And, okay, I tell you what, let's go to the break first. Thank you, Pat. We'll go to the break first, and we'll come back to Dowell Loggins. I always forget about the break, and I shouldn't do that because our sponsors deserve to be heard.
We love you, sponsors.
Yeah, we love you. We love you. Yes, we do. That's the second time this week I've said we love you. We said that to Carrie Tharp. Of course, Carrie doesn't, pay us anything, but we just said that out of the goodness of our heart. But we really mean that about our sponsors as well. So we'll hit the break, and then we'll hear from Dowell Loggins coming up here on Sports Talk. Be back in just a moment.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different. It's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@attorney. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit. 803-765-2968 or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Looking for a way to fight back against inflation? One viable way to help your money stay relevant during inflation is through investing. To a new investor, investing can feel like a puzzle. With so many pieces to consider, it can be hard to know where to start. But with the right guidance along the way, you can put the pieces together to create a winning strategy. That's where Founders Investment Services come in. Our team of financial advisors can help you navigate the complexities of investing and create a personalized plan that fits your goals and risk tolerance. We'll work with you to identify the pieces of your puzzle and how they fit into your financial future. When you're ready to find the pieces to your financial plan, call 866-739-7064 to speak with one of our specialists, or visit foundersfcuinvestments.com to learn about how we can help you identify the key pieces to your financial plans. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC, and not NCUA insured. Not guaranteed by credit union and may lose value.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today, in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Farm Bureau Insurance's agricultural roots and ties to South Carolina farmers have shaped the company's culture and work ethic, providing a unique customer experience. Customers are treated like people, not policies. Now, while other insurance companies may have a one-size-fits-all approach to handling customers, we believe you need to be valued and treated right. Our claims professionals work until the job is done, and our agents still believe in the commitment that comes with a handshake. Call Buddy Bridges in Clinton and Lawrence at 864-923-2174 for all of your auto, home, and life insurance needs.
All right, Dowell Loggins has done a heck of a job with the South Carolina offense. Do they have to be worried about him in Arkansas after this season? You know, Arkansas fired their offensive coordinator a few weeks ago, and he is an Arkansas grad. He has coached in Arkansas once before. I mean, this is a debate, a question for another day, but it's something that should be in the back of your mind if you're a Gamecock fan. You know, Dowell Loggins could ride out on the coattails of Spencer Rattler's huge season and Xavier Leggette's huge season to maybe an even bigger payday back at his alma mater if that's something he decides he wants to do. Anyway.
Hey, what about Sam Pittman, too? While on that topic, I mean, Arkansas is not exactly having a great year. Do you think there's any chance that they move on from Sam Pittman and then try to go after Loggins for even a head coaching opportunity?
Well, I mean, you never say never. I think they'll give Pittman at least one more year because he's basically had a good run there. It's turned a little bit south. But my guess is, and that's old, what's his name, Urachek, who's the AD out there, right? The old Coastal AD, Hunter Urachek.
Yes.
I think they'll give him a little more time to see if he can straighten it out. And one way of doing that might be trying to get Dowell Loggins to come back home. But for now,
here's where the rubber is going to meet the road for USC. Then, if they're starting to get into bidding wars, and we've seen them lose them with assistant coaches, will Ray Tanner and the athletic department step up and maybe up the salaries to a point where it's not as as cost prohibitive, if you will, to leave as opposed to staying?
Absolutely. But now their focus is on a Vanderbilt team that's 2-8, 0-6, and South Carolina should win this game. They should win this game pretty easily. Vanderbilt's giving up 34 points per game, and South Carolina offensively should have. I mean, if you're Spencer Rattler, you're looking at a team that's allowing about 256 passing yards per game. So you're like, ooh, his eyes are going to light up here. Here is Dowell Loggins from yesterday taking questions from the media about things going on with defense.
Sally asked Shane this yesterday, but Xavier is just 27 yards away from the fifth to eclipse 1,000 yards in a season. We've talked so much about him this year, but for you personally, being at your first year here, seeing everything that's gone on, the injuries with Juice Wells, him having to step up, what does he mean, aside from statistics, to this program?
Everything, because it's not because this is a guy that you get emotional about when you talk about because of his story and where he's come from and how he did it. And I got here and everyone was talking about Juice, and it's a funny story because one of the kids on the team, Landon Greer, came to me and he's like, "I'm telling you, number 17 is a dog. Wait till you see him." And you see this guy, and you're like, wow, he's an impressive-looking athlete, but you see his work ethic, man. I talk about it all the time up here, and what a great example for our young players to watch this guy, for Tyshawn Russell and Nick Harbor and Kelton Henderson and C.J. Adams, and just to see how this guy works every day, to the point where we're on a GPS system out there right now, and it's like, hey, let's cut his practice down 15% because he won't take himself out. I sent him a text message last night, and I put myself, Coach Stepp, Coach Day, and Coach Morton in, and I'm like, hey, Zay, you got to trust us, but we got to cut back your reps. And then he hits back, why are you saying that now? Again, I got to get my work now. And I'm like, you're going to get your work. But you got to trust us on this. Like, we got to get you fresh to Saturday. And you're playing through, like, talk about people banged up and playing through stuff. There's no, like, this. He runs 23 miles an hour, scores 2 touchdowns, goes for 217 yards, and he limps to the sideline. But then it's like when his mindset goes like, hey, I got to go. They're counting on me. I got to go make a play right here. You talk about the difference between being injured and hurt and playing through those things. Like, the kid's a stud, and he's going to be really good at the next level, and we're blessed to have him, not because he's a great player, because he's a great kid, and he does things the right way. And I want my son watching him at football practice. I want my son to watch him in the offseason doing cone drills, not by himself, but bringing his teammates along with him as well. And he's kind of the Pied Piper when it comes to work, and all the time that he invests in other people, like, you root for this guy a lot, big time.
Cal, not that many people have been an OC in the NFL and major college football. What do you think about helmet communication technology for college football?
Yeah, I'd love it. I mean, it'd be great. It's just to have the ability to get in Spence's helmet and talk through things. Like, I don't think that people, unless you've done it, understand how helpful it is. Like, you watch some guys early in their career, like Jared Goff and those guys in the Rams, and how they use those things, and they're getting the play call. And it's not just the play call you're getting information. You can give them a tip right here, or if you're in the thing doesn't cut off till 15 seconds, so you could put a running back out wide and motion back into it. Hey, you got man coverage right here, and like, you're giving the quarterback information to the test. But you can give them information before the ball snapped and help them get through progressions and those things. And I think it cuts down on everyone talks about. And it's same for the defense as well. Like, you want to eliminate stealing signals and all that stuff. Like, that's a big part of it as well. Like, I think it's a tremendous tool. Now, it would greatly affect college football because signals are such a big deal. Even when coming back to I never coached in college football. I was the signal guy for coaching out when I was in Arkansas as a player, and I signaled in the plays to the quarterbacks. And then, like, all of a sudden, it's like just a different layer of stuff that when you go to the NFL, some of these players that get drafted in the NFL, coaches go coach there, like, that's gone. Like, there's no verbal communication. Everything's through the quarterback's headset, and then he's communicating out. So it definitely would change the landscape of the operational procedure as well in college football.
I think y'all done a little bit of the 2-back stuff, but when you were able to do the 3 backs on Saturday, what do you feel like you got out of that, and was it sort of like a build to get to that point where
it's a really good question. It's really about getting your best 11 on the field, and now you have an injury with Trey Knox, and he's not be able to play, and Josh Simon can't play 60 snaps, 75 snaps in a game. He can't play every snap. So then it's like you got Juju, DK, who are also versatile players. And for those guys to do what they did in that game, like they essentially learned different positions inside the week. And really, I was super impressed with those guys. DK is basically in the game. He's playing slot receiver, like as a tight end, blocking stuff that tight ends block, and then playing some running back as well. So you can only do that when you have really smart players that have position flexibility, and you can make 2-back look like 1-back. You can be in 2-back personnel, but be in 1-back sets and still run your plays. Because if you can't do that, then the volume of offense starts stacking on everybody. So you can't say, like, we can say, hey, this play is 11 personnel / 30. But it's now DK's the Y, Juju's the F, Mario's still the H, and it could still be with AB's the F. Josh Simon's the Y. So the volume to be able to put that on people, like, you have to have 2 really smart guys, which we have. And it was really for us to, hey, let's spell our tight ends because so that those guys aren't playing 75 snaps a game on the field because we have these 2 players that have the ability to do it.
Okay, Dowell Logan, some comments from him. Looking ahead to this weekend, we're talking about the weather, and it's supposed to be raining, 75 degrees, 59% chance of rain in Columbia during the day, a shower at night. We don't care about that. They're playing during the day. But I looked ahead to the Saturday of the Palmetto Bowl. This is for professionals only. I have a professional weather app that gives me 45 days in advance.
Write this down, Pat, somewhere where we can review right before the game.
So Columbia on November 25th, cloudy during the day with a high of 60 at night, 75% chance of rain with temperature about 47 degrees on the 25th.
I bet it's
Those are-
gorgeous and hot.
Exactly. It'd be 80 degrees and sunny.
Rain on that Friday and rain on that Sunday, too. We'll be back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The White House says Israel has agreed to put in place 4-hour daily humanitarian pauses in its assault on Hamas in northern Gaza. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the pauses will have several benefits.
We think that pauses can be useful in the safe passage for hostages, so should a release be secured. But as I said at the top, they're also useful for a number of other purposes, to get aid in and get it distributed within a localized area over a discrete period of time, as well as helping innocent Palestinians move out of harm's way.
President Biden asked the Israelis for a pause of at least 3 days during negotiations over the release of hostages held by Hamas. A potentially deadly situation in Georgia.
5 letters laced with fentanyl sent to Fulton County election workers here in Georgia. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger telling reporters the letters with the potentially deadly substance inside them identified by the U.S. Post Office. Raffensperger calling it a case of domestic terrorism. He has a personal connection to this drug as his son died of a fentanyl overdose 5 years ago. Laura Winters, Atlanta.
Astronaut Frank Borman, who commanded Apollo 8's historic Christmas 1968 flight that circled the moon 10 times and paved the way for the lunar landing the next year, has died. He was 95. On Christmas Eve, Borman read from the book of Genesis in a live telecast from the orbiter. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt. I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Bible.
Home buyers who can afford to bypass the highest mortgage rates in 2 decades are increasingly foregoing financing and paying all cash.
Homes purchased entirely with cash accounted for 34.1% of all sales in September, up from 29.5% a year ago. It's the highest share since February of 2014. The data comes from a Redfin analysis of home sales in 40 of the nation's most populous metropolitan areas. The trend reflects surging mortgage rates, which have made paying in cash more attractive to many buyers. Bob Agnew reporting.
A former top prosecutor for the city of Baltimore has been convicted on Thursday of charges she lied about the finances of a side business to improperly access retirement funds during the COVID-19 pandemic, using the money to buy 2 Florida homes. Former Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby was charged with 2 counts of perjury. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clouds roll in this evening. We'll have a low dipping down to 57. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. High of about 76 with a 20% chance of some afternoon showers. The weekend, well, not terribly inviting. A 50% chance we're going to get some rain. Saturday's high is 59, while on Sunday, just a high of 53. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you with us. Big Thursday night here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, Pat Daniel. Phone number, 888-898-2525. It is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you're just joining us, scintillating first hour of conversation, ideas, opinions, and we heard from Paul Loggins of USC. We heard from Gamecock Larry of USC, who had some very interesting things to say as well. And again, the Gamecocks have some injuries that they'll be dealing with going into the weekend that Shane Beamer outlined on his call-in show a little bit earlier tonight. Pretty much the same names that you've heard over the last couple of weeks. No major changes there, except to Kerryon Joyner. Add him to the injured list for South Carolina. He's going to be out for the game against Vanderbilt on Saturday. College basketball tonight, real quick. Got three teams in the state in action. North Florida playing at unbeaten Charleston Southern. They're 1-0, which technically is unbeaten. You've got unbeaten and soon-to-be nationally ranked Presbyterian.
Number one.
Hosting Columbia International, right? That's the team they're playing tonight, Columbia International. And then we've also got in the state tonight one other team in action. Oh, South Carolina State is playing tonight at South Florida. Is basketball season too soon on the calendar? Let's pose that question to a man with a fabulous mind for basketball, football, baseball, gambling, and a whole bunch of other things. He is Mike Morgan. And Mike Morgan, here on Sports Talk, On the Move, is brought to you by State Farm agent Gary Patterson. For 35 years, Gary has been serving the real estate needs from Lugoff to Lexington. ACC football games and probably being booed. He's being his countless hours spent helping South Carolina insurance need a difference in the community. So go check out GaryPatterson.net today. And Gary, he'll go over the best plans for you and your family. That's GaryPatterson.net.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. No hassles, no all-day runarounds, no ridiculous add-on stickers. At Love Chevy, buying a car is fun. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
And with that introduction, we welcome in Mike Morgan. Morgan on the Move. Good to have you with us, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Could you repeat that Charleston Southern basketball score from the first half again? I missed that.
Yes, Charleston Southern. That would be undefeated Charleston Southern. All right, you want to you want to get it right. Charleston Southern leading North Florida. It's early. It's 2-0.
Okay.
It's early at the Buck Dome.
2-0. I had the over 2.5 for the first 3 minutes of the game. So I got a lot writing on this. So keep me posted on that.
You're in good
You're
shape.
good, Mike. They're 3.5 in, and it's 6-6 now to update the scoreboard.
I've already covered. Okay, this is a good day. Drinks are on me, fellas.
See, there you go. Your gambling addiction and your alcoholism all coming out in the first 2 minutes of the show.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know you're glad basketball season is here. I mean, I love college basketball season. I do wonder if we start college basketball season for most of the country too early on November the 6th. What do you think?
I have had a long time mantra, if you will, TBH, which stands for Turkey Before Hoops. In other words, college basketball should start after Thanksgiving, or at least right around it, with a lot of the tournaments that go on during that time. Yeah, I do think it starts too early. I really think the whole calendar's off. I think baseball starts too early as well. I don't need to see two teams in February in 22-degree weather battling one another in a game, in front of 47 fans. I think the calendar ought to be fixed, but that has fallen on deaf ears for as long as I've been saying it. So here we are. It's going, and I've got Wake Forest, Georgia tomorrow night. So I'm actually in Athens as we speak, drawing eyeballs from restaurant goers here at a nice little establishment. So I'm looking forward to that, but it's football's still prevalent, as you well know, and a lot of big college games on Saturday. And then I'm looking forward. How about this? I've got Browns at Ravens on Sunday, and that'll be Deshaun Watson under center for the Browns, and the outside linebacker for the Ravens, the number one defense in the league, is one Jadeveon Clowney.
How about
that?
that?
So Clowney never got to go against Watson. I think they missed each other by 1 year. But Clowney could actually sack. It could be a Carolina-Clemson exchange between those two on Sunday.
Mike, how do our listeners get the Compass Media Networks that's going to be carrying that on Sunday?
I don't have a list of all the stations, but hopefully if there's a sports station in your market, they're carrying NFL on Sunday, there's a good chance they can catch it then. But I know we're on, 150 or so. So hopefully your program director will be up to the task of carrying NFL on Sunday.
Yeah, about as many as we have carrying Sports Talk. Now, if you go back to the
Should be
days,
a package deal, really.
Yeah, you go back to those days. Taj Boyd, he had to change his uniform number from number 10 to number 7 because he had Clowney on his back so much. Shaboom boom.
That's right. Five sacks, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Did he not get him down 5 times?
I think so. So that's good. I'm glad to hear you got the hoops going and you got football going as well. Keeps you busy. That keeps Mama happy, so that's good. Let me ask you about this. We were discussing this earlier amongst us, and I don't know, this is not a big national deal or anything like that, though it did pop up on Twitter or X. Somebody retweeted it, but there was a broadcast by Barstool Sports. I don't know if you saw this clip. That they did a college basketball game the other night. It was the FAU game. Did you see? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, there's a clip from this broadcast. I guess it was streaming via Barstool Sports, and the game was a rout. But the three guys, I don't even know who they are, were during this part of the broadcast. Towards the end, I guess, of a rout. They were, calling for players to shoot because of the money involved, because of the gambling aspect of it, and just, Mike, it's not the kind of broadcast that we would do and that we grew up listening to and that we consider to be part of the professional side of broadcasting, of sportscasting. And my question to you is, and maybe, until you see it, maybe you won't have an opinion, but maybe you have a general feel for what's happening in the sportscasting world with so many ways of delivering broadcasts and sportscasts now. Are we lowering the standard? Are we lowering the bar on what is considered good sportscasting and good play-by-play and good broadcasting?
Whew, that's a can of worms. I've got a lot of thoughts on that question. I would just say, I'm guessing, this is would you say FAU is playing who? This is a non-conference November game that nobody else picked up, right? Because I mean, they don't have an SEC network or a ACC network. So when that happens, this is what really destroyed Conference USA back in the day. They thought they'd be the smartest people in the room, just kind of like the Pac-12. And they didn't align with a major network, and they just started, well, yeah, let's sign a contract with Facebook and have Facebook announcers call the game. Let's sign a contract with this streaming service. And when you do that, you're not going to typically get, the same type of broadcast. It's going to be more of a little bit of a yuck session. And my guess is that's what happened. So, I mean, look, those games that for those type of conferences, the mid-majors, if you will, a lot of them are not. They're not broadcasted. They don't have broadcasts in place. So it's either all radio, or you allow somebody to pick it up for a rights fee. And my guess is they came in there, paid a rights fee to carry the game, and their attitude was, well, we're going to do it differently. We're not going to have that old school professional-sounding play-by-play color guy. We're going to make it fun with gambling and all those. And look, I'm not even knocking it because maybe there's a market for that. Just because it's not what people are accustomed to today. Maybe down the road there's a market for some of that. You take Monday Night Football, the Manning cast. I mean, that's not a true play-by-play analyst broadcast. It's two guys being kind of silly, but people love it because they love the Mannings, right? That's the allure. If you just had two random players doing it, nobody would watch, nobody would care. But because it's the two Manning brothers, it's actually been pretty popular. But without knowing exactly, what the broadcast was or who did it, that would be my guess.
Well, I love the Manning brothers as much as the next guy. And I got locked into a Manning cast NFL broadcast a few weeks ago. For some reason, I couldn't get out of it. And I hated it because I wanted to watch the football game. And they're yakking over every play, and they're doing interviews and talking to people. They had Desmond Howard on. I think it might have been a Packers game. Well, I know what it was. I had recorded it. And for some reason, my DVR recorded the Manning cast version instead of the real play-by-play version. So I was stuck having to listen to it. And it was highly annoying. And I think those guys are funny and cute and say, precious things. But it annoyed the heck out of me as a guy who just wanted to watch a football game. But again, I get it. You got a choice. You got a choice. You can choose the pure football game, or you can choose the Manning cast. I get that.
And it was a game you cared about. It's your beloved Packers, right? It's just like if it's Gamecock fans tuning into a Gamecock game and they can't even pronounce Shane Beamer's first name properly, that's going to rub a lot of Gamecock fans the wrong way, as it did. But in general, if it's your average person that doesn't care about the game, or quote unquote entertaining version of the broadcast. So I think that's what they're trying. That's the outlet that some people are trying to do. I'll tell you one thing though, from my experience, what you just described is anybody who really cares about the game. In other words, who wins, who loses, not just gambling perspective, but they actually have a vested interest in the team. They want a professional sounding broadcast where they know what's going on and it's not just kind of the bells and whistles. So that's not going away anytime soon. I just think more of these alternative versions might pop up because they're trying to see if maybe a younger generation likes to see it a little bit differently.
We're going to let you go because I know you got a tight schedule. We appreciate it as always tonight. Enjoy your busy weekend of basketball and NFL, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Mike Morgan on the Move here on Sports Talk. We're going to hear from Garrett Riley in just a moment. I want to talk about this real quick. The Butterfield Bermuda Championship's got a lot of locals playing in this. The Butterfield Bermuda Championship.
You want to talk about a season that never ends?
Oh,
How about golf season?
Well, the round today was suspended, but they got a bunch of scores in. Alex Noren shoots a 61. That's 10 under. And Vince Whaley, Robert Garrigus, Dylan Wu, and DJ Trahan. They are all in at 63. Now, some others, you got Doc Redmond and Ben Martin at 65. You got Tommy Gainey at 66. You got Andrew Novak at 67. You got Kyle Stanley at 68. You got Jonathan Bird at 69. You got Scott Brown and George Bryan IV making his PGA debut. He's at 69. So GB4 is at 69. William McGirt's at 70. Lucas Glover's at 70. Chris Baker is even with 2 holes to play. And Wesley Bryan, the brother of George, they're playing together in a PGA event for the first time. And the daddy's over there with him and the mom's over there with him. And Wesley is at plus 273. So thought that was kind of important with all the local folks involved. And by the way, I played the Scramble today over at the Tsunami Bar Sports and Fitness. Chris Road in West Columbia set the course record because I had the first official round. Now, Wesley has gone out there and birdied all 6 holes, but that was before the course was open and it was official. Now it's official. So I have set the record bar at 2 under par. 2 under par. Went out and shot 2 under par on the 6 holes today. Took about 6 minutes, about a minute per hole. It's just a little chip and putt.
Is this miniature golf? Oh, okay.
Well, it's even shorter than miniature golf. I mean, it's not putt-putt, but it's shorter than a par, like your par 3s or your pitch and putts. This is chip and putt. I mean, it is really like the longest hole is only like 32 yards. And it's all built throughout inside trees on their property there. It's really, and you got artificial grass being, get turf for tees and turf for greens and turf surrounding the greens. And the key is to put the ball on the turf. If you miss the turf and you're in the dirt or the leaves, that's a penalty. You got to pick up your ball and put it on the turf and play from there. So the key is hitting. Oh, it's so much fun. And you play the 6 holes. It takes you 5 minutes, But I have set the record there at 2 under par. I'm sure it'll be broken as soon as Robbie or George gets out there and play an official round. We'll talk more about that round tomorrow night during Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps here on Sports Talk. Wanted to bring you some Garrett Riley, the Clemson offensive coordinator. And, Chris, I'll let you lead into him since you were listening to what he had to say the other day with the Clemson press conference from Monday. So why don't you take us into the Tigers OC, looking to find that offense and get it to a level that was expected. Hired.
I thought he brought up something that's really, really interesting because obviously he was asked about the running back room and handles the distribution now. This was clearly coming off the Phil Maffa situation against Notre Dame and how good a ball game he had. All right, we get Will Shipley back, so what do you do now? And he basically said, we chart this kind of stuff throughout the week. We have an idea going in, game plan as to, all right, Maffa's going to play, Shipley's going to play, Shipley's going to get X number of carries, Maffa's going to get X number of carries, but we have to figure that out each and every week. Said that's the most fun he has, trying to figure out how to keep the distribution and keep both those guys healthy, or happy rather, aside from the fact about worrying about the passing game. He was more focused on the run game, clearly coming off the job that Maffa did against Notre Dame. So here's a little bit of what he had to say on Monday, one of the rare times we get to hear from the Clemson OC, Garrett Riley.
Yeah, it was a good feeling. Big win, and for us to hopefully create some momentum and to kind of go out there and gut one out after the last couple of weeks was pretty special to see with our guys.
We were talking with Kate earlier about the settling effect that a running game can have on a quarterback, on an entire offense. Can you maybe just reflect on that with your insights on how important that is?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can run the ball effectively, it's just going to help out your quarterback. It's going to help your rhythm offensively generally. It's going to create confidence up front, which is going to create confidence and pass protection. Just all those things go together. And, obviously that was a huge part of our success on Saturday.
Hey, Coach Sweeney said it was just more so run just having the hand, just simplify things. How much do you feel like that helped, in terms of how you guys were able to produce?
Yeah, I thought we had a good game plan, and that's definitely one of our main runs. But yeah, we O-line, tight end position, receiver, receiving core. I thought I had a lot of strain all day, And some of those blocks on the outside that a lot of people don't see, those were some key blocks for us that propelled some of those big runs. So just super proud. We've been challenging those guys really hard last couple weeks, and so it was great to see it pay off pay off on Saturday.
Dabo said last night that had that starting five struggled early, that y'all were going to play anybody and everybody on the offensive line. Does that mean like literally anybody, like defensive lineman, or I'm just curious for your interpretation or insight into that, what the plan was?
No, just giving other guys at O-line a chance, and see if we can create a little bit of a hot hand and see who can handle it and give those guys some opportunity. So it was great to see, Trent and Harris do a really nice job of stepping in with where we're at right now. So I was really proud of them.
Phil stepped up Saturday, proved that he can carry the load. When Will gets back, we don't know if that's this week, next week, whenever. How do you kind of, keep both of those guys happy, but also, keep
do a good job of kind of charting the touches and the amount of plays that they have. I mean, that's something in game you just got to be aware of. And I think, as coaches, you try and package things throughout the week where you kind of know and have an idea of, hey, this guy's probably going to get this amount of snaps. This guy's going to get this based on your game plan. So that'll be the fun part for us moving forward, like it always is.
surprise you?
Not really. No, not at all. He's a patient guy, and obviously, like I said, they've been getting challenged pretty good. From us as coaches and from player to player, if we need that part of our game to step up, and so we knew some key guys like Phil needed to play big on Saturday, and obviously he played pretty big.
You have a pretty good feeling that Cade was going to be able to play?
Yeah. They'll win.
Yeah, at what point?
Yeah, early in the week.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Curious about, because you're trying to put together a game plan, some of the uncertainty there, because I think Dabo said after the game that was a process of trying to figure out how healthy, and then off the offensive line as well, just the sort of patchwork nature of things there. Through your, just curious to get sort of a window into how hard that was for you as you're trying to put together a game plan.
I mean, I felt good all along. Cade would play, of maybe what he can and cannot do. You had to kind of gauge that throughout the week, so that's always the hard part, I guess, as a coach, is just kind of going through the week and again, trying to put him in the best position possible, along with your other guys that may be banged up or whatever. I'm just trying to gauge that throughout the week.
Okay, comments of Clemson offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. Let's get you to recruiting now, brought to you by Seawells. Tomorrow is a Roast Beef Friday, most special day of the week. Roast Beef Friday over at Seawells, 11 to 2. Make sure you get over there and enjoy. And, of course, Seawells provides you with the best catering service in the business. And their phone number is 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So we talked to David Rodriguez, 6'1", 165, 2025 receiver, Providence, Rhode Island, South Carolina in the top 5 with Michigan, Maryland, Georgia, Penn State. It's Gamecock commitment quarterback Dante Reno, a former teammate who first turned him on to the Gamecocks. And then he was contacted by Pete Limbo, who looked at some video, and also Justin Stepp. They connected with him, and they have been developing their relationship since then. They like him as a slot receiver. On top of that, his grandmother lives about 40 miles from the USC campus. So they're coming down next Tuesday, staying through the week, and going to the game next Saturday. So he'll get a big dose of the Gamecocks while he is down here. And he really likes South Carolina and likes the idea of playing in that offense. He's also been to Florida and Michigan this season. He also likes TCU, Arizona, and Syracuse. He's playing a lot of quarterback this season. He's also playing some safety as well. Recapping the basketball signings from yesterday, USC signing 6'9". Clemson signed in their they are Dallas Thomas, a forward out of Arkansas, and Dell Jones, a guard out of Arizona, and Ace Buckner, guard out of Indiana, who hopefully we'll be hearing from later tonight. USC women, they signed 5'5" Madison McDaniel of Maryland and 6'5" Adele Tack of Texas. Clemson women signed 6'2" Morgan Miller of Minnesota, 5'9" Imari Berry of Tennessee, and the Citadel signed 6'1" Ezzie Wally of Providence, Rhode Island. Back, Will and Thrill coming up.
Point weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clouds roll in this evening. We'll have a low dipping down to 57. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. High of about 76 with a 20% chance of some afternoon showers. The weekend round, not terribly inviting. A 50% chance we're going to get some rain. Saturday's high is 59, while on Sunday, just a high of 53. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
This is Ian with AccuClean. With the holiday season and gatherings with friends and family quickly approaching, now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed this holiday season. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We hope to see you soon.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he won't seek re-election in 2024, giving Republicans a prime opportunity to gain a seat in the heavily GOP state. His decision to step down, while not totally unexpected, severely hampers Democratic hopes of keeping the seat and marks the end of an era for West Virginia, which voted reliably blue for decades. Authorities are trying to determine who sent suspicious letters, including some containing fentanyl or other substances, to local election offices in at least 5 states. It's the latest instance of threats faced by election workers around the country. Election offices in California, Georgia, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington appear to have been targeted. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points, the Nasdaq lower by 128. This is SRN News.
So you don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, this is Chris Neely, Superintendent of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. I hope you'll join Kevin and me each Tuesday afternoon. We'll bring you Kids First, where we talk about educational issues and what we're doing to teach kids the right way. It's Kids First, Tuesday at 5:30 right here on 100.7 The Point.
Hey, honey, I know you're taking some meds for cholesterol. I was reading that if you're on these medicines, you should also be taking some CoQ10.
Actually, our pharmacist mentioned that to me already. He called me the other day, and we went through each of our medications together.
Really? He called you?
Yeah, he asked if I was having any side effects, recommended supplements that could help me, and let me know the risk of mixing certain drugs.
Wow. I'm happy to know that True Pharmacy is thinking about us.
True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway, 3217 Divine Street, or visit truerxsc.com.
Hey, it's Jay with the Cigar Militia, Columbia's premium cigar store. Have you noticed the change in weather? Some people call it fall. We call it cigar smoking season. Or better yet, it's football weather. Come in and check out our humidor and do what I do and get your go-to stick or try something new. We've got an awesome staff willing to walk you through and help you find your new favorite. And besides, you're going to need some celebration cigars for when your favorite team wins the big game. The Cigar Militia, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
You ain't nothing but a dog. Play it how you get it. Frog. Play it how you get it.
Back we are here on Sports Talk. Sports Talk Media Network, rounding up Will and the Thrill. Hopefully have them for you in just a moment. One other basketball recruiting note on the women's side from WBB 94 feet, which reminds me, of course, of the former Gamecock men's head coach, who, what was his name? Good gracious. Replaced Dave Odom. Came from Murray State. Was terrible.
No, Darren Horn? Oh, no.
No,
Murray
no,
State
no.
would have been Steve Newton.
Steve Newton, yeah. One of
But
his
he
favorite.
replaced George Felton.
Was it George Felton? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you would know that, having served under
Yes.
George.
That was my senior year.
Were you on Newton's staff as a manager? Oh, so
yes.
you carried over to that staff as well.
Yeah, my senior year was our first year at Carolina in the SEC, and also the first year with Steve Newton.
Oh. Well, his favorite line with the media was he was asked, what kind of basketball are you going to play? What do you, 94 by 50? We're going to play 94 by 50. 94 by 50. That was his thing.
We did not.
No, he did not. Even though, as I remember, that first year, they got off to a great start, and then Joe Rett had his incident.
Yep. Tremendously talented team. I mean, you had Barry Manning and JoJo English and Joe Rett and Jeff Ralston and Jamie Watson. I mean, there were some really, really solid players. Chris Lesso, Stephon Eggers out of my new stomping grounds down at Socastee. I mean, that was a very talented team that I just could not, for whatever reason, and I'll blame the coach. I'm not going to blame my classmates. I'll blame the coach. I just couldn't figure out the SEC.
Yeah. Okay, Pat, if we're still trying to get to Will and Thrill, we can go to my interview with Ace Buckner here real quick. If you'll tell me what you got in mind real quick and where we are with things. Is Pat in the studio? Do you see him,
probably
Chris?
on the phone.
Chris, do you see him in the studio?
I do not see him, but my guess is he's probably trying to track the guys down.
Oh, I'm here, guys. Yeah, I've got Carl on the line. I'm just trying to wrangle up Will right now.
Well, I tell you what, while we're doing that, why don't we roll this interview with Ace Buckner while you're getting Will on the phone, and then we'll have the two of them together. It's only about 3.5 minutes. So if you're ready with that, I'll lead into it. All right, so Ace Buckner, 6'1", out of LaPorte, Indiana, son of Greg Buckner, signed with Clemson yesterday. Had a chance to talk with him today and get his thoughts about following in his dad's footsteps to play basketball for Brad Brownell at Clemson.
Man, it feels surreal, honestly. Playing Division I basketball has always been a dream, but playing at Clemson has always been the goal, honestly. It's always felt like family and a home to me, and just wanted to be a better version of my dad. It's exciting.
That's saying something because your dad was pretty doggone good.
Yeah, he was, but he was good. But he always says that he thinks I'm better than he ever was. So it's just playing with confidence and trusting everything I've done to get to this point, and just showing what I can do, honestly.
Well, of course, your dad was an outstanding defensive player at Clemson. He could score when called upon, and obviously didn't last in the NBA for all those years without having some offensive skills, but defense was his thing. What about you? What do you think stands out about your game?
Honestly, I built around defense too. Early on, that's just what came natural to me. It wasn't the scoring or handling the ball, I had to work on all that. But defense just came natural, being able to read players and things like that. But I would still say it's that, but everything else is just added bonus, and I feel like I do a lot of things well on the court.
Well, I recall talking to you during the summer that you said your shooting during the AAU circuit wasn't the greatest, and it was something you were really going to focus on in the summer to improve going into this season. Where are you with that?
It just took, so, you know, in the UIBL, the three-point line is a little farther back than high school. So, you know, obviously that took some getting used to, and that I had to work towards being able to shoot that deep consistently. And I just put a lot of work in, and trainers just be gym, working on getting that range. And I feel like now I just put so much work in over the summer and before I got to school, and even at school once I got here. It's continued to improve better than I think. I think I'm shooting it the best I have in a long time in my life right now.
And we're talking with new Clemson basketball signee Ace Buckner. So it's one thing to follow in your dad's footsteps and go to the school he played for because you wanted to be like your dad, but there's got to be other things about a school that attracted you. So what was it about Clemson, Coach Brownell, the school, the system they run, how you might fit in? What other things led you to Clemson?
It's just, you know, as soon as I stepped on campus for my unofficial, I just felt love there, honestly. You know, Coach Brownell and a couple other coaches on the staff, they came up to watch me play there in the open gym in the practice. And, you know, as soon as they got there, they just came right up to me, showed me love, you know, showed me that they're really there to see how I'd grown from the summer and see what I could do. And then obviously they think I had grown enough and was good enough to come play for them. And once they extended that offer, it was still love. You know, they never stopped recruiting me. They always reached out, stayed on the phone, and just on campus, it was beautiful, man. They just showed me what I could be when I got there. Showed me what the school was like, the love that all the fans and the people around you show. And I just felt like it was a place for me.
Well, you're part of a recruiting class that Clemson fans are excited about. You and Dallas Thomas and Dell Jones, three of us should come in and keep the Clemson program moving forward. What do you know about the other two, Dallas and Dell? Have you run across them very much? Are you close to them at all?
So with Dallas, I know him a little more because I spent some time down in Florida with him at the Top 100 camp. We were actually on the same team, so me and him are a little closer than I am with Dell. But I actually played against Dell our junior year in a game at our previous schools, so I'm a little familiar with him. Not too much though, but I know they're both great guys. I know Coach Brownell recruits great guys and wants them to be part of the family, and I'm just excited to get closer with them and spend my time at Clemson with them.
All right, Ace, last thing, we'll let you go. Having a dad who played in the NBA, coaches in the NBA, are there things that he talks to you about and teaches you from an NBA standpoint that he thinks will help you in the college game?
Yeah, he does for sure. He always tells me to just trust the work I've put in. You know, me and him have put in countless hours in the gym together, and you know, it's just always stay confident and be ready when your number is called. And I just feel like every time he says that to me, it just gives me a boost, you know. Because if a guy that's been that high up and has made it to the pro level just says that, like, you can do this and you're capable of these things, it'll give you a boost, man.
Okay, there you go. Comments from Ace Buckner. Looking forward to seeing him in a Tiger uniform. Okay. Will just notified us something's come up. He's unavailable tonight, but we do have the other half of Will and the thrill. We have the thrill part. He just gives me a thrill up and down my leg. Carl, the thrill, chill, hill. A thrill up and down my leg. Welcome, Carl. How are you?
Pause.
I'm not really I'm doing well, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, listen. You got a dub. You got a dub last weekend, Jacksonville State. So the real Gamecocks stood up there in the last 20 minutes, won that ball game. What do you take away from that dub that's going to help you against Vandy and moving forward?
I'm gonna tell you what. I kind of hope that game kind of works the way our season is kind of working. Early on in the game, you were kind of okay, pretty competitive. You thought you kind of had a chance, but the longer that game got along, you kind of looked like it was over with. And at the end, the defensive players made some plays, and that pickoff on that wheel route I've been criticizing our middle linebacker for poor play of tackling, but there's no way to play that any better. He didn't attack the running back immediately. He went to where the running back was going to go. He played it perfectly, and he that wasn't a fluke. That was a defensive player making a play. So at the end, we got a few more turnovers, and I hope our season go that way. We started off okay. The longer we got into the season, the worse it got. But we got 3 more games to go bowling, and if you get to bowling, you can win 7.
Well, I got to believe, too, that you feel like 3 home games. Rattler is at another level at home. A healthy Leggett and Rattler together, that is a lethal combination. I mean, they can throw and score pretty much on anybody left on their schedule if they give Rattler protection. And, of course, you got to believe defensive coordinators are going to double up on Leggett and just try and take him out of the picture. Then other people have got to step up. So do they have other weapons that they can turn to in that case?
Well, I'm not going to 100% agree with everything you kind of said that led up to that premise question, because here's the way you defend South Carolina right now, and this is how everybody has done it. On first down, you add pressure. So if we run the ball or throwing the ball, there's something to the defense advantage going to happen. Then South Carolina's going to get into second and long, and that's what every defense wants you to be in. Then they're going to put more pressure on you. They're going to give more guys than you can block. In the Spencer, if we're not throwing a quick passing game, again, you can't throw the ball. I don't care how many great receivers you have out there. And then when you're in third and long, they're going to send everybody. You don't have time. So if depending on what we do and how we play with Spencer Rattler, we should be. I mean, you look at our offense over the last few weeks, it really just hasn't been that good at all. We were used to Spencer slinging around, and there hasn't been a whole lot of slinging. You look at our game against Tennessee, we scored 20 points. What we score against Missouri, 12 points. Texas A&M, 17 points. That's not slinging it around. That's a struggling offense. So with our quarterback, in order for us to have any success, every team is going to pressure us on the first couple downs to get us in second and long, because we're going to try to pick up 10 yards, and those routes take longer, and that's how teams been crippling our offense. And if we can buy your first down, meaning Spencer throw a 5-yard route, a 6-yard route, then the defense can't put everybody on. Then the offense dictates what they want to do. Then Spencer can be Spencer. But if we don't get in second and 5, we don't have a chance, because they're going to put more pressure on us than we can block. Defensively, we just got to the coaching staff is putting us in a great position to make plays. Guys are not making plays, and it's not 100% on the guys, because I've said it for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. You can't keep telling me you having a great practice and you all motivate, everybody's doing great and doing what you're asking them to do, and then the guys get on Saturday and don't look like they know what they're doing. They can't. Here's the one route that's been killing our defense. Every game from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, when they're in man coverage, a slot receiver, wide receiver, the slot receiver going to hesitate and go to the boundary. 100% of the time, he's open. You can't tell me that's the player's fault. He's not seeing it enough. You can't talk to me about it. You gotta put this in. You gotta simulate this for me, so I don't keep making these same mistakes. Our middle linebacker make the exact same. If you run the ball to the wide side and cut it back to the middle, he's never going to be in sight. They don't have enough confidence in what they're doing to do it, and that's because they're not. Practice ain't working for them, because they act like they don't know what they're doing defensively. Bad routes, bad running to the ball, bad tackling. The defense works, but what they're doing to prepare these guys is not working right now.
Are they trying to do too much? Is it too complicated for them?
They've narrowed it down. It's not even a complication deal. When a couple of weeks ago, they took some stuff out and kind of simplified it, which I thought they needed to do. This is nothing more than they're playing like when they see it in the game, it's the first time they're seeing it. And that's practice. That means to me, and I'm not saying this is happening, even Shane made it to mention it a little bit, they're not doing enough scout team work. Where if that guy there, almost 50% of the time, the guy who's covering the slot receiver, when that slot receiver get ready to break to the, they would actually turn their back to the inside, look inside, and spin all the way around in man coverage, taking their eyes off of the receiver and the quarterback in man coverage. That you can't do that but once or twice in a practice and a coach correct it.
Mm-hmm.
You keep running that route till you can't do it no more. To it's second nature. Nothing seems to be second nature for our defense right now.
Well, maybe they have to send some coaches out in advance and scout some opponents and have them come back and share that information with the defense in the future. In other words, do what Michigan allegedly did. Go out and cheat and scout opponents in person and bring that information back. That's
cheating,
what I would do.
Trying.
Yeah.
Hey, again, it ain't the information. It's the execution of what you're trying to do, because you got the right gun, the right bullet, and everything, but you ain't giving your guys enough target practice shooting 205 yards, and you got them shooting 100 yards. So when they get ready to shoot a deal from 205, they can't do it because it's the first time they shot that far. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, so as they go into the Vanderbilt game, and this, Jacksonville State and Vanderbilt were two get-right games, right? A chance to get up off the ground. Yeah. So you feel good about Vanderbilt. And so if the Gamecocks go ahead and take care of business, 2-touchdown favorites against Vanderbilt, all right, so now they're 4-6 with 2 games to go. How would you feel about – and Kentucky's got to play Alabama. Going to be a tough physical game for them at home. I mean –
and then they play Louisville after that, after us.
Yeah, but my point from the Gamecocks is you got to like the way this is setting up for them for a chance to run the table here in November.
Well, I said that, I was a little wrong, but I said that 2 weeks back, that we were good enough to beat everybody on our schedule. And I still believe that getting a win, and I don't care how ugly it was, getting a win was extremely important to those guys, because another term I've been using for several weeks, you can't work hard and not see definable results of your work. If you don't see definable results of your work, you're going to start doubting and start not believing. So it was important for those guys to have some success last weekend. This is another weekend playing against Vanderbilt. Spencer Rattler should have a really good day. They got one defensive end that's pretty good, number 15. And then they got one receiver that's pretty good, but their line suck and their running back's okay. So our defensive line ought to have a really good day. Again, build a little bit more confidence. Kentucky's going to come in here beat up and bang up, just playing Alabama, then thinking about playing a ranked Louisville team after us. So it's a great sandwich game, and hopefully that game will be at night. And I've said if we can win that game, I'm guaranteed we'll beat them Tigers.
Well, that's going to get to the rivalry meter reading for you tonight. Clemson coming off a big win over at Notre Dame. You had to be impressed by that. What is your rivalry meter reading tonight?
Again, I'm waiting till we get to Kentucky and beat Kentucky, but I still think they have more talent than we do. They're better. They're more talented than we are. And if we kind of get if Spencer Rattler get into 2nd and 5 situations from here on out, I'm feeling really good, but I got to see it before I believe. I'm probably still around a 45.
Not quite past 5 yet, huh? You haven't gotten over that hump to be on the confidence side of things.
Now you got to show me a little bit more than you showed me against Jacksonville State.
Carl, thank you for doing a double duty tonight. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend enjoying your Gamecocks play, and we'll talk to you next week.
Go Cox. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much,
Carl.
Carl. The Thrill Hill. No Will tonight. Hopefully we'll have Will back with us next Thursday. Let's go to our break, and we'll come back and wrap things up, update some college basketball for you. It is Presbyterian leading Columbia International 41-30 at the half. Cola Inter was leading that game a moment ago. And we've got Charleston Southern, and let's give you South Carolina State. They're down 47-22 at South Florida late in the half. And we'll be back after this break. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with the family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
All right, Charleston Southern leading North Florida. This is from Mike Morgan. Charleston Southern 37, North Florida 33 at the half. That's the undefeated Buccaneers of Charleston Southern playing in the Buck Dome tonight. I bet you they have a full house of 911. Oh, no, it's 800 and no, it's 900 and something. 900.
It's
I saw the other night DePaul had a home game. Their home opener drew 911 in a 10,000 plus arena there in Chicago.
That's so sad.
Well, I mean, it goes back to a lot of things. I mean, I guess maybe they have a crummy team right now. Their fans aren't interested playing on November the 5th, whatever. you want to use as
I just remember when DePaul used to be one of what we would have considered the blue bloods of college basketball. I mean, they were just a great program, and they have fallen off the map over the last couple of decades.
You had old Coach Meyer, and then you had his son. I mean, between the two of them, it was like a 60-year run or 50-something year run of Meyer's coaching, and they had that Chicago talent.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, that's going to do it. Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it, Chris.
Yes, sir. Same here.
Pat, enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight, and we hope you have a great Thursday night. Look forward to having a Founders Federal Football Friday with you tomorrow. We'll see you then.